Thanks for watching Full Action Videos. If you like what you see, please click the subscribe link or like it down below. Thank you. Hello, I'm Jeff Hajek, the owner and founder of Full Action Continuous Improvement. I'd like to thank you for your interest in my continuous improvement development system. Phase 6. Good job. For most of you, this is the final phase. That doesn't mean your work is done, though. Even though this endeavor you have been working on to build a continuous improvement culture is commonly called a lean journey, the name is not entirely accurate. A journey implies an end. It is more like an adventure or an exploration. Regardless of what you call it, though, if you are successful at it, you will eventually uncover a great truth about trying to implement a business management system that drives a continuous improvement culture. By definition, you can never finish building a system for continuous improvement. Because it is so focused on making things better, the structure will not just uncover opportunities within your production and support processes. It will identify ways to improve itself. That is the key characteristic of this phase. The journey becomes self-powered. While there are still lessons and development gates in this phase, there is a noticeable change in the feel of the system. There is no longer a net consumption of energy. It creates more than it uses. Think of it as analogous to an investment property. This phase is the equivalent of when the rent outpaces the cost of ownership. The rental unit becomes profitable. This phase is marked by a significant reduction in the effort it takes to roll out new ideas and a major increase in the system's payoff. Once your company reaches this phase, the majority of your organizations within the company will be operating under the business management system and will have a full Kaizen calendar. Employees will be able to transfer throughout the company and immediately understand how the new department is run. The fact that everyone is involved, though, does not mean that you can coast on your previous efforts. It is very important to keep up the momentum. The bottom line is that this is not exactly a steady state phase, as the improvement curve should still be pretty steep. It is more of a saturation phase where everyone is involved in lean and the focus is on continually strengthening the culture. Phase 6 principles. As with the other phases, there are several new principles that we introduce in Phase 6. Keep in mind that the earlier principles all still apply. But as your improvement efforts become more sophisticated, you have to keep more things in mind. Principle: build in quality. There is a common misconception that inspections are an indicator of a good quality program. The truth is that inspections mean complacency. They require that you understand the failure modes and know what to look for. That means you have known problems that you are accepting. A better way is to go after each item you inspect for and find a way to keep the error from happening at the source. Principle: adopt a zero defects mentality. There's an old lean story about a company that sourced a component from a lean-oriented supplier in Japan and insisted that the vendor meet a 2% failure rate target. The Japanese company balked and resisted that rate, but the purchaser insisted. Finally, the lean company relented and agreed to the 2% target. When the first order of 100 components arrived, there were 98 in the box and 2 separated with a note saying, "Here are the 2 bad components you wanted. We still don't understand why you need them." The point of the story is that one company lived by a zero defects mentality, and the other followed the traditional path of assuming that there would always be some failure rate. Now, in truth, no process is perfect, but the pursuit of perfection gets you a lot closer to zero defects than accepting that a portion of your work will always be shoddy. Principle: strengthen your systems. The more you think in terms of systems, the more effective your company will be. Don't just focus on drawing up standard work. Look at the entire work management system. Knowing how you will train people and even how you hire people can drive the way you document and structure your work. Thinking in small chunks can make processes extremely efficient, but only locally. Sometimes local efficiencies hurt the big picture. And even once you start thinking in terms of systems, your work is not done. You have to continually improve those systems. Principle: Build full engagement. You may have gotten to Phase 6 on the backs of strong leaders and a handful of motivated individuals. But your company will not thrive once you arrive here unless you get everybody bought in. The full in this principle actually has two meanings. The first is that you need everybody to be engaged. Every person who is resistant is like an obstacle that disrupts your culture. The full also means the level of engagement of each of those individuals. Being okay with the change is not enough. They need to embrace the culture and be able to act in the absence of specific guidance. This is a unique principle in that it is both the cause and the result of success. The more engaged a team is, the more likely it is to be successful. And the more successful a team is, the more likely they are to be engaged. Note that this reinforcement cycle also works in reverse. Principle: monitor performance. If you don't track how things are going, getting better is harder than it should be. Can you improve if you don't track things? Sometimes. The problem, though, is that problems are often subtle and sap resources without you even knowing it. Others are noticeable, but are hard to compare with each other for prioritization purposes. And still others are obviously problems, but are hard to pinpoint the exact nature and magnitude of the problem. There's an old adage, what gets measured gets done. A strong business system relies heavily on measurement to drive the improvement process. Introducing A3 thinking. A3 thinking is a philosophical approach to problem solving that centers on a well-communicated team approach to using the PDCA cycle. The tool used to apply this way of thinking is known as the A3 report. This is something of the rock star of Lean. Everybody wants to get using it right away. You'll notice that I don't even mention it until Phase 6 when you might be 3 or 4 or 5 years into your continuous improvement journey. So why do I wait so long? It's because you need a lot of structure and systems in place to use it effectively. It's also because you need a mentality to support it, and you need that all to be widespread. If you try using the A3 process before the organization is ready, it will be, at best, less effective, and at worst, a problem for morale if things don't work out as expected. But now, in Phase 6, with the right support system and culture in place, it can be extremely effective. It greatly streamlines the improvement process and makes communication much easier. In short, it helps avoid countless problems. Voice of the customer. Your marketing team, if they are any good, will have a strong customer focus. Voice of the customer is a more structured way of managing this communication with them and involves more of the organization. The primary purpose of listening to the VOC is to gain a clear understanding of the customer's wants and needs, and then to translate those requirements into a plan of action at the front line. Production Preparation Process, or 3P. The production preparation process, also known as 3P, is a powerful means of taking a big picture look at how a product is designed and manufactured. It guides teams through the creative process of generating ideas and then whittles the ideas down to one that will be implemented. A 3P project can focus on either the process or the product design. The goal is to finish the event, usually about a week long, with a good idea of how the design should look and a good understanding of how the product will be built. This is a very advanced tool. Teams should be stacked with individuals who have a great knowledge of Lean. They will be incorporating a lot of other tools into the process design, so 3P is not for the faint of heart. Spread the word. Once your company is in Phase 6, it will have a wealth of institutional knowledge and a strong group of individuals who are talented at continuous improvement. It will also be operating with very little margin for error. The company, because of its previous efforts, can handle this tightrope of operational performance, cutting costs without going too far. But suppliers will have an ever-increasing impact on the operation. Hiccups in vendor performance will echo throughout your company. You'll need to require high bars of performance. Some suppliers will get there on their own. Others will need help. Phase 6 companies should be willing to help their vendors in a consulting sort of role, Actually, it's a bit more than that, as you have a lot riding on their success. It's more of a partnership. The point, though, is that you'll be working with your suppliers to improve their performance so they can, in turn, help you improve your performance. About Phase 6. Most companies never go beyond Phase 6. That's okay. Phase 6 companies are going to be outstanding performers. They'll be reliable, profitable, and great places to work. Phase 6 is different from the previous phases in that there really isn't an end. It is about maintaining momentum and saturation. By the latter, I mean that all work areas have all the tools in place, and all the team members and leaders are well versed in their job-appropriate tools. It means that your talent level is high enough that you have internal consultants spreading the lean word. It means that your company has a reputation of being a great lean company. Moving to Phase 7. A few extremely rare companies, though, will go beyond Phase 6 and become world-class. There's not really a blueprint for this, though. These companies chart their own course beyond Phase 6. Getting to Phase 7 isn't a matter of checking some boxes or implementing a specific set of tools. It's more of a situation where other companies will tell you that you are there. World-class companies don't label themselves with that tag. Others will notice that you stand out and your reputation as world-class will grow. For now, though, focus on saturation. Get your tools rolled out and build your team. If you need help, let us know at info@valaction.com. If you need training materials to support your growth, check out valactionstore.com. As always, best wishes on your continuous improvement journey.